How were you as a child? Were you boisterous, outgoing, shy, timid?
Till my 6th grade, I was not invited for any programs, and my teachers usually say, she can't do it.
I have seen this happening in a lot of schools where I have worked. Kids only with skills are given that recognition.
Like the schools want trophies more than a child's development.
Alright, let's go to the second one. FOMO.
Not heard of it.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Flex.
Showing off.
Oh wow, wonderful. You're good at it. As a teacher, I have a problem with you Gen Zs. Why do you guys hate writing?
It's so easy to type online, so you can see it easily, right?
I would like to know, how has Active Kids supported you?
Active Kids was the main source behind my confidence. When I'm speaking here today, I'm very thankful to Active Kids.
Welcome to Active Kids Gen Zs, an exclusive podcast by the children for the children. My name is Tarannum Sheikh. I'm an educator, entrepreneur, soft skills trainer, and the host of this podcast. Today in our podcast, we have someone who is an art lover and also someone who, with her brilliant sustainable attempts, loves to turn trash into treasure. This Gen Z is also very creative when it comes to expressing herself. And that's none other than Hana Priyas.
Hi everyone, my name is Hana Priyas and I currently live in Kerala. And I'm super excited to be a part of this podcast.
Thank you, Hana. Welcome to our first ever podcast with a very special guest who is here with us today. So thank you, Hana, for joining us. Let's start from the beginning. I'm very curious to know, how has your childhood been? What's that story that you would like to tell us?
I'm actually living with my grandparents in Kerala. So I do everything by myself because I discover some things by my own self. I became confident by only empowering myself. There is no one supporting me, for everything comes from inside my heart.
Lovely. So if you have a specific story from your childhood that you would like to share, because you shared a very important word, which is empowered. How do you empower yourself, given the fact that you stay with your grandparents away from your home? So how do you deal with, the stress that comes along the way as a teenager?
Actually, living with grandparents, it's okay life. Like, as I'm a teenager, I have stress. It's okay. Like, with staying with grandparents has a different kind of vibe rather than staying with parents. Because when staying with our grandparents, like, we enjoy vibing in our surroundings. And we know our neighbors. We spoke a lot with our family friends. Like, if we stay in this Dubai with our parents, there's like a closed flat apartment. It's a isolating life more than living with stress.
Oh, I see. That's a very strong point you made, that it's isolating, when it comes to staying in the UAE. So that is the reason why you love to stay in India.
Yeah, true.
Okay, great. So you talked about your childhood and how fun it is, and how you spend time with yourself and with your family around. So do you see, you have this generation alphas now, since you are a Gen Z. So do you think that their childhood is more fun, or it's going to be challenging for them, given the fact that you've lived through greater part of your childhood?
It can be a mixture of both. It can be hard at sometimes, and it can also be fun at one point. The children before 2013, like us, like me,
Right.
we are mostly into the surroundings, loving the surroundings. But after the point 2010, 11, 12, the children are mostly glued into the screen, always 24/7 inside the phone. But now we have a point to realize that we can enjoy and vibe in our surroundings, whether let it be with our parents or without our parents. We are mostly into our friends, and our friend circle always supports us.
Right. So do you think that has an impact on their childhood in any way? Because see, you have also lived a part of it, in the time when internet has been relevant and prevalent in the current time. So don't you think that even a part of your childhood has positively or negatively impacted the same?
Actually, I guess it has positively impacted, because when I started growing up, there was no, like, I didn't watch any phones or anything like that. I used phone when the pandemic hit due to online classes and all.
Right.
So that was the point when I used mobile phone as a technique for my own development. The art was my passion since the pandemic time. That was the time when I found out that I can draw and I can speak with people confidently.
So, Hannah, that's really fascinating to know that you discovered your passion and talent during the COVID time when, the world was, at a standstill. And the part that you're still continuing to pursue that passion, that is really inspiring. Coming to my next question, like to know that how were you as a child? Were you boisterous, outgoing, shy, timid?
Actually saying I was very shy person. From my grade second, when I had my first school assembly, I was like shivering with sweaty palms in front of the whole school crowd, going to deliver the thought of the day. I was actually nervous and I was nerve cracking. And from there, now I'm the school's deputy speaker. I'm very confident inside our school, and I represent our school for various speaking championships. So actually saying the pandemic has actually changed me, because during the pandemics, I had started some online classes, and I socialized with various people from all over the world, and I actually became more confident. And so I got some self-respect and self-confidence. I was self-motivated more than my teachers and all. Actually, my parents were the people behind my actual confidence. They give me the support which I am like, whether we are staying in two different parts of the world, they give me the most confidence. Even at midnight, they give me the confidence.
Lovely. And I think I have seen you evolve into a fantastic speaker that you are from the time when you said that you were really anxious to speak. And now you are here at the podcast studio, inspiring the millions of children around the world. So I would like to know, how does it feel like being that unconfident child, being that shy, nervous, anxious child who's always been labeled? And I think most of these kids are not seen and not heard. How does that feel like?
Not being seen has a different kind of pain, because in my school days, till my 6th grade, I was not invited for any programs, and my teachers usually say, she can't do it. Like, it's a different kind of pain. I usually come home and cry. My mama was the one who supported me, and she said, it's okay. You can come. You can do it betterly.
Right, right. So I'm really sad to know for what you've gone through. So do you think that school also plays a very important role in helping children discover their inner confidence?
School is the main part which actually makes a child into a talented human being, because in school there are different kinds of subjects there, and there are various teachers who are skilled in various particular type of skills.
Yeah.
So there, if we start our small talent from our school, the teachers who can see, who they are the ones who teach us and support us to make and practice our skills. Actually, when people say that you are doing that well, when they give a compliment, we'll be more confident, we'll be more strengthened person.
True.
So school actually plays a great role. It's not like what we see from outside. Inside a school, it's like a community where people support each other. Sometimes they tease, they ignore, but it's a main place where a child can be more confident and more enthusiastic and holistically develop.
Absolutely. I think you raise a very good point on holistic development, which is so vital in today's time, especially given the fact that communication skills play such an important role. So how would you like to, what's your perspective on sharing about communication skills, the importance of communication skills in today's time from your own personal journey that you have shared?
Communication skills are actually getting more important when we move on, because without communication skill, a person cannot, like me, we cannot speak in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
Like, communication skills are actually very important to interact with people from different parts of the world, socialize with people, or even in a workspace or in a school project time, if we don't speak with others or share our perspective, we cannot take part actively. So active participation also is as a result of the communication techniques which we use and the communication skill we use.
Great, Hannah, to know from your personal journey how you have evolved into a confident person that you are. So, do you think, like you said, that the school plays a very important role in fostering confidence among students? What do you think those strategies or, opportunities that the schools can create for children or Gen Zs like you who can learn communication skills earlier? Because from my experience during our time, definitely we have faced a lot of obstacles. Reason being because of lack of self-confidence, lack of clarity, lack of courage. All these became, a hindrance for us in terms of growth. So I personally have struggled in knowing and discovering my true potential. So it took me a lot of time. But for a Gen Z or, someone like you who has already discovered, so what are those opportunities that the schools must create for children like you?
Schools actually should support more group activities rather than individual project works, because when children interact with other children, like they can speak about their talents, passion and everything, and they can mix all of the students' ideas into one project. So with that, they can not only interact, they get the confidence to speak in front of a large crowd. Not only interacting with teachers, but also the other students who are studying with them. And secondly,
does that mean your school does allow you to work in groups, or is it conventional?
No, our school usually supports group activities rather than individual ones. And secondly, schools can create opportunities for students to speak into a large crowd by raising an awareness section. Because like in Kerala, most of the schools support that.
What do you mean by that?
Students go for advertisement of something, or for example, when Independence Day or Republic Day, which is an important day in India.
Yeah.
So those days, students go for some parades or something.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, they get the confidence to face people. Mm-hmm. After that, if they arrange some programs, they can also get the confidence to interact with people.
So do you think these many strategies or these opportunities will help students of all levels, given the fact that you have individual differences? Every child learns and progresses in a different manner, right? So how does that help students who are extremely shy, introverted in nature, very timid, lack self-confidence? Do you think these two ideas that you shared with us will help these students also? Because we are talking about the majority of our children who lack self-confidence.
Sometimes it can help, but in some cases, like with some children, they need someone to support them. They need someone as a stepping stone, as to make them correct, or to always to encourage them. Most of the students don't have anyone to encourage them because parents are busy.
What do you mean by encouragement? Like from your personal experience, give us some anecdote.
Personal experience, like my mother, she always calls me and she's the one who searches for any competition for me to participate in. And my dad, who's busy always, but he helps me in finding out something, or whether they are different parts, they actually give the support with a phone call. A phone call can actually make a huge difference in a child's life.
True. Do you think teachers from their side can use this as a tool to help children who are introverted, shy and in their shell to come out of their comfort zone? Do you think that encouragement, motivation is that powerful tool?
Of course. Encouragement, motivation, everything is very powerful in today's generation, because everyone moves back if doing any task because of lack of encouragement. Because encouragement is a key of a person trying something new. A person can try something new, like when someone say, that's nice, right? You can try on it. Like when we hear that word, sometimes we get more empowered again.
What were those encouraging words that you got before you came for the podcast studio?
It was from my mama
Okay.
because she was the one who told it's your first experience. You can
Yeah.
try it out. Whether you are not doing it good or you are doing it okay,
Right.
you have a experience. Like
Right.
when you grow up, you'll be more confident. And when you see this podcast, when you grow up,
Yeah.
you'll be so happy. It's for sure.
And proud. True, true, true. So, since you talked largely about schools and teachers, what is the role that the parents play in developing, fostering the skill of confidence in children? Because, like I always believe, and I always tell this in all my videos, is that confidence is not a talent; it's a skill. It can be learned, just like swimming, cooking, driving. You can learn that skill. Nobody is born with this confidence muscle that we call it. We can develop it. So, my question is, how do you think parents can help their children from a young age to develop that self confidence?
The main thing which a parent can do is that they can find out some public speaking clubs or creative writing clubs where a student can do a work without anyone's help. Like a teacher will be there, a mentor will be there, but the mentor is there to find out something from that child's mind, because most of the children are not knowing their inner talents. The mentor is the one who actually supports, encourages, and who corrects, who makes a pathway for the child to succeed in life. So parents can actually, more than finding out these things, they can support the child to be active at home.
Like how? What can they do to make the child active?
Like during a family function or when they're facing a large crowd,
Yeah.
they can ask their child to do any kind of performances.
Right.
Like
During
sometimes-
social events and
Yeah.
all.
Like sometimes being the anchor of the show.
Right.
That can actually make a big change in a child's life.
Right, right. So, what is that one thing that kills a child's confidence? Because you raise a very good point that, that you feel empowered with the right kind of encouragement. So, I have seen in my experience that a lot of parents compare their child with someone else. That, hey, look, that child is so confident, but you are not. Or, look, your elder brother is so excellent in communication, but you are not, right? So, how do you think, what is that one thing that kills or crushes someone's confidence, according to you?
According to me, more than comparison, sometimes they're not appreciating. The lack of appreciation can cause a pain in a child's mind.
Right.
Because when our parents appreciate us for doing a simple task, we'll be more happier rather than someone outside us appreciating us. When our parents accepts that we can do a task, we'll be more happy. So most of the time when I do anything new or I do a small painting, my parents are the one who say, it was a nice attempt,
Yeah.
but you can improve.
Right.
That word can actually make a huge difference.
It's wonderful. And you also said about mentoring. I think that's a very crucial thing to understand from a Gen Z. What's mentoring to you? Who are those mentors who are outside of your family?
Mentors does not only mean our parents or grandparents. Like it can be our teachers who are behind this communication skills. Not every subject teachers, I mean.
Yeah.
The teachers who are behind our communication skills are the ones who inspire us. Because seeing them talk in front of a huge crowd or in front of the world, we get inspired. And we get the opportunity. Like those are the people who give us opportunities. Like today I'm sitting here.
So great. So who is that mentor in your life?
You are the one who taught me public speaking, creative writing, everything.
This is not paid, okay? This is her own thought that she's sharing. Great. I'm so glad for the appreciation that you have. And, I think you already had that in you. It's just that I had to recognize. And like you said, a good teacher understands what's going on in the child's mind. So I have seen that you had that potential in you. I just polished the diamond, and I brought that up. And
As polishing needs skills, which you have.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Hannah. I also wanted to understand that opportunities in school are sometimes limited when it comes to making kids, come out and share or perform. Because, like I've catered to children in our public speaking club, a lot of them have said that, ma'am, I don't get chance to perform. I'm not getting selected in a speech. I'm so prepared. But my teacher said, no, you can't go for it. And instead they take someone who's been a seasoned speaker, someone who can get their school trophies and adulations and recognition, which according to me is one of the, hitting point, because I have seen this happening in a lot of schools where I have worked, where kids only with skills are given that recognition always. And that puts a lot of pressure on the others, thinking that, oh, I'm not good enough, he or she is better than me. He's hosting an event, he's participating in competitions, he's getting trophies, he's getting awarded in the assembly. And who am I? It is kind of identification crisis that the child goes through.
Of course, many experiences. Like nowadays, schools have some idea behind, like they'll choose only the students who are well talented, who gets prizes. The children who gets prizes when they go. Like the schools want trophies more than a child's development. That's nowadays issue. And in like most of the grades, I faced the same issue in our school. Like from our 5th standard, all the speaking championships, only my friends get selected. Only one particular friend gets selected for the event.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I don't have the talent. That's why I'm not getting selected.
Right.
But the next year, like every year we're getting matured, right?
Yeah.
So in the next year, I thought, why can't I give a try?
Yeah.
So I told my teachers that I wanted to try. They allowed me to try.
Okay.
But when I tried, I failed.
Right.
And then I felt okay. It's because it was my first time.
Right.
So I felt it's okay.
Yeah.
The next year, with full confidence, I participated. Again, I failed.
Right.
Whereas the teachers are the judges there.
Yeah.
So the same issues happening.
Right.
And in 7th, my parents came to the school
Yeah.
and spoke to the teachers. And from the next year, from 8th, everything changed. I and some of my friends also got the chance to participate in our school level. And from our school level, I got selected to represent our school in the state level. So actually, that was a time when every point of view of our school changed. Because if there's someone to tell or someone to raise an issue against this, a change will happen. The management will think differently.
Right. So is it only when your parents spoke to the school leaders that you got a chance to perform in the next grade? Are you trying to mean that?
No.
Okay.
Actually, like after I did it for 2-3 years,
Yeah.
I got more confidence. And like
Correct.
when I went in the 8th grade, when I went to the stage, I was like, I sounded more confident. No shivering, no sweaty palms, nothing. I was more confident, like to face the huge crowd.
Right. Right.
My inner self came out to present the speech.
Oh, wow. You seem really mature with the way you handle situations, in life. So you raised a very interesting point about failure. You said that I failed miserably once, twice, and again the third time. So how does that feel? I mean, how do you handle failure? Because for me, it is. I mean, it sucks. Failure sucks for me, and I think for a lot of them. I mean, no one likes to fail. Everyone wants to try their best and put their best foot forward. But of course, failure teaches us to be better next time. But that maturity comes in a little later. Right now, I have come to understand that failure is my teacher. It's going to teach me that this is where you fumbled, this is where you need to improve. But a child who's 13, how do you gain that understanding of failure and how to handle this?
Like basically telling my parents and my mentor Hugh, you guys are supporting me a lot because I came up from one of the failure only because of my parents and teachers.
Right.
Because their support means a lot to us. Like when we are sad or disappointed,
Right.
their support and emotional support actually can make the difference.
True.
Without a parents or teacher support, like I would have been crying in my bed still today.
Yeah, absolutely. So has that taught you something? Your failures has taught you something? If you could tell us 3 things that failure has taught you.
Okay, failure has taught me various things, not 3. Okay, I'll decide 3 now.
Absolutely.
Actually, firstly telling, failure can always make ourselves, like we can attain some confidence from failure. Sometimes when we fail, we cry, everything is there, but the next time we'll be having an aim in our mind. I have to get this prize. So that time we'll get some more confidence. When you experience that, we'll know that, because I have experienced it a lot of time when going for speech contests and all.
Right.
And secondly, telling this failures always give us more opportunities.
True.
Because when we fail, we start searching for another opportunities to try again. So again, we are trying and doing it ourselves, right? So we can be ourselves there.
So I think the maturity level at which you're talking about emotional support and also learning from failures, learning from mistakes, and I can resonate with you a lot. But emotional well-being, you know that okay, I'm sad now. I'm going to be in bed crying and with tissues and everything, and not going to be talking to anyone. But next day, you need to show up. You need to get back yourself up and show up, because that's how life goes on. So but don't you think that not everybody has that capability and capacity to get rid of the failure in this manner? In fact, they give up. So what's your take on never giving up? For people who are listening to our podcast, what is it that you want to say to the Gen Zs like you?
Always we have to have an aim. So if we have an aim, if we fail also, we'll again come back. If you don't have an aim, we'll go down. We'll be still on bed.
You mean children should have an aim, a goal in their life, and pursue that goal no matter whatever the odds are. You need to fight back and keep pursuing that goal.
Yeah.
Right. So goal setting is extremely important for kids like you. So does that mean that the goals should be written, or you have the goals in your mind? Because I know a lot of students who do not like to write out their goals, no matter what you tell them, but they do not have any understanding of how important it is to write down their goals and follow them. So what do you do about goals?
I usually keep it in my mind rather than writing it down, because no matter if you write or keep it in your mind, you should do something for it.
Yeah.
Even if you write, sometimes we don't think like, okay, we don't work for it.
Right.
It's always important to work for a dream rather than writing or keeping it in our mind for a long.
As a teacher, I have a problem with you Gen Zs. Why do you guys hate writing? I've been after you guys that you have to write down, because there's a powerful thing that can happen when you write down, So what is it? Why is it that you guys hate writing?
So after the pandemic, like everything is online. So it's easy to type more than to write and take time in writing, erasing. It's so easy to type online. So you can see it easily, right? Rather than understanding our crazy handwriting.
Okay. But that's impacting the kids in a negative way, because they're forgetting to write, to hold pencil, to sit properly and write. So don't you think that technology has been a culprit for all this? For Gen Z's deteriorating handwriting that comes along?
No, technology can be impacted in a positive and a negative way. Because when we write, yes, it's like our hands are connected to our brain.
Yeah.
So when we write, we can remember everything.
Right.
But in another part, like when we type it, we are more used to the computers. Like in the upcoming generation, I think papers will not be there. We are cutting notes, papers will not be there. Everything will be online, Word document, PPTs.
Right. So Anna, we talked about writing, and which is impacted largely. So do you think that public speaking should also be a part of the curriculum? Because I personally feel that it will change lives of students, because the skill that they need in the real world, they already get to learn in school, right? Which, rather than every parent cannot afford to send the kids to any clubs to learn it outside the curriculum. So do you think first that public speaking should be a part of the school curriculum? And second, what is the role of the school leaders in implementing this?
Public speaking should be included in the curriculum, because most of the people, like in IAS or civil service interviews, they will get good marks and get succeeded for the interview.
Yeah.
But when they don't know to speak, they are actually failing. So without the public speaking is included in our school curriculum, there are no way for children to interact with other people.
Right.
Like most of the clubs are online during this period.
Right.
So when they get a chance in school to speak, schools should provide it.
Right.
And about school leaders can always support the children who are not so confident and who are shy to come in front of the stage. once in a week, they can arrange some special assemblies for the students to come up
Right.
on stage
Right.
and show their talents, not only like the prayer section or anything,
Right.
like something unique,
Some small opportunities for
some
speaking.
dramas
Correct,
or
correct.
anything like a play,
Correct.
anything can be added to it.
So I know that you have been a part of a public speaking course for a long time. So I'm sure you have your hacks that you'd like to share with the Gen Z friends that are around you. What are those hacks that you use to, before you have to get on the stage and crush that? What is it that you do?
There are two main things which I do. One is visualization. Like in my mind, I see the image of me doing it in front of the huge crowd.
Yeah.
So when I do that, I get more confidence. Like before coming to this podcast, this was a thing which I did at my home.
Okay.
Like I saw myself speaking with you and chit-chatting with you. So it can actually make a different impact.
True. True.
Like rather than practicing in front of the mirror, this can make a huge impact.
True. And there is actually a scientific study which says visualization really helps in overcoming stage fear. What is the second hack?
The second thing is like I do a positive self-talk with me. Because more than speaking with people, I usually talk with me. We are our own best friends. So we can speak anything with us.
Right.
Whether it be a gossip or a fact, we can
True.
speak it with us.
True.
Like I can change my negative thoughts into positive.
And does that help before an event?
Yes, because I get tensed very fast. I get frightened very fast before any event. So when I talk to myself, like I actually make myself more confident.
Right.
You can do it, yeah. You'll be all right.
True. All is well.
Yeah.
So, Gen Zs, remember the two hacks that Hannah has shared. One is visualization, and the second one is positive self-talk. And there are research studies which says that these two are the most powerful tools to understand how can you improve your confidence. So, Hannah, lovely tips, and thank you so much for sharing that. I think we had a really great chat on speaking about life and about confidence that has changed the direction of your life. And as Gen Z, you have also given your perspective on how Gen Zs can work on recognizing themselves, on empowering themselves, that you rightly put, and the role of parents, teachers, and school in helping kids to build their confidence. So it's a wonderful conversation that I had, and in fact, I learned a lot from you.
Same, yeah.
So I'm not going to let you go. As you know that the USP of our club is fun, playway method.
Yeah.
And that's what, I love doing with kids. And I want to end our conversation with a small little game, right? But prior to that, I would like to know, how has Active Kids supported you in changing the direction of your life?
Active Kids was the main source behind my confidence. Like, when I'm speaking here today, I'm very thankful to Active Kids because mentors like you are the ones who actually make us more confident, support us. Like, without anyone's support or without anyone's ideas, we will not be like, we cannot discover it by ourselves because it's a young age. So we cannot understand about huge terms
Right.
like descriptive writings or poetry writings.
Right.
Like, we read poems, but when we start writing it ourselves, the School for Communication Skill was Active Kids for me.
So that gets your creative juice flowing. That's what you love, right?
Yeah.
Being creative. Great. So as I said that we are going to have an interesting segment of a game. And like our podcast is called Active Kids Gen Zs. So how about if we quiz Hannah on Gen Z lingo? What is a Gen Z slang that they normally use? Are you on with it? So if you answer all 10 questions, she's going to definitely get something from us, from Active Kids. So are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So the first question is, I'm going to tell you the words and you need to guess what is the meaning of that word. Okay. The first one. Let's start with the easy one.
Family.
Family. Great. She's doing good, right? All right. Let's go to the second one. FOMO.
Not heard of it.
FOMO. You have a FOMO of something which is happening and you're not a part of. Okay. It's a fear of missing out.
Oh,
When you miss out on something and you feel like, oh, you missed it. Okay. The second one is GOAT. GOAT.
greatest of all time.
Lovely. Greatest of all time. Definitely. Now let's go to the next one. You feel salty. When you feel salty.
Like, not comfortable or something like.
Close. I'll give you that. It's to feel irritated. right? So you get 3 on 4. Okay, let's go to the next one. Flex.
Showing off.
Oh, wow, wonderful. You're good at it. Wow. Okay, so that's the 5th one, 5 on 6. The next one is IRL. What's IRL? I wish you had your friend. You can call them and ask them. It's in real life. In real
Okay.
life. Yeah. Okay, the next one is sus.
Suspicious.
Oh, wow. Suspicious. That's right. So you have 5 on 7. The next one is P. Girls usually are very popular for this. What do you
Not heard.
Girls love to, when they come together, what is one thing that they always do?
Makeup.
It's gossip. P is
Oh.
gossip. Okay. The next is fire. This podcast was fire.
Scene. Like, it was like amazing, mind blowing.
Correct. That's right. Good. So you did 8 on 10, which is fairly good, but you missed that hamper. But never mind. I think you did great, and the conversation was intriguing. I enjoyed personally talking to you and knowing so much about your journey.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for joining.